Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we really get into the day's biggest headlines, breaking them down to give you the essential knowledge and insights.
Exactly.
Today is May 5th, 2025, and our mission, really, is to bring you the top stories from India. Think of it like your evening news, but with that extra layer of depth you expect from us.
Good to be here. And we've got quite a mix today.
We really do. Everything from thrilling sports action in the IPL, some big tech developments, shifts in international relations.
And even crime reports, it paints a fascinating picture of India right now. We'll try to unpack not just what happened, but, why it matters.
Perfect. So where should we start? How about the IPL? Always exciting.
Sounds good. Yeah, yesterday had some incredible finishes. Real edge-of-your-seat stuff.
First up, Punjab Kings versus Lucknow Supergiants. That was, well, pretty dominant by Punjab, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A 37-run win in T20, that's a statement. And Prabhsimran Singh, wow.
Tell me about it. 91 runs off just 48 balls.
Incredible hitting, 7 sixes, 6 fours. I mean, that kind of innings just takes the game away from the opposition sometimes.
Yeah, it really set the tone. And Shreyas Iyer chipped in nicely, too, 45 off 25.
Right, that pushed Punjab up to a huge total, 236 for 5. Lucknow had a mountain to climb from the get-go.
And they struggled early, didn't they? Lost some big wickets quickly.
They did. Losing players like Markram and Marsh early puts immense pressure on the rest. Ayush Badoni fought hard, though.
A valiant effort, 74 off 40 balls. But still.
Still well short. They ended on 199 for 7. But the big news here, for Punjab at least, is that win pushes them up to second place in the standings.
Second place, just behind Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Okay, now for the other match, Kolkata Knight Riders against Rajasthan Royals. This one was unbelievably close.
A one-run victory. You literally cannot get any closer. It was pure drama.
And Ryan Parag for Rajasthan. Just sensational. 95 off 45 balls.
Stunning innings. And hitting 5 sixes in 1 over. That's the stuff of legend. You'll be seeing replays of that for years.
Absolutely. But even with that incredible knock, Rajasthan just fell short, chasing 206 for 4.
Agonizingly short. Andre Russell did the business again for Kolkata, didn't he? A quick-fire 57 not out. He's so crucial for them in those final overs.
He really is. So what does this mean for Rajasthan now?
Well, unfortunately for them, that loss means they're officially out. No chance of making the playoffs now.
Ouch. A tough way to go out, especially after Parag's heroics.
Definitely. But for Kolkata, it keeps their hopes alive, right? They're still in the hunt for that top 4 spot.
So let's quickly recap the standings then. Punjab jumps to 2nd, Lucknow drops to 7th, KKR is still fighting for the playoffs, and Rajasthan's journey is over.
It just shows you, doesn't it, how intense the competition is. Every single match matters so much at this stage. So unpredictable.
Okay, now staying with the IPL, but this is a bit, well, strange. We have another headline, also about KKR beating RR by 1 run.
Another one.
Yeah, but this report mentions the year is 2026, and it's at Eden Gardens this time. We're just presenting it as it came to us, but it's certainly noticeable.
That is odd. A 1-run win, KKR versus RR, Eden Gardens. But 2026, well, okay, let's break down what this report says happened in that game.
Right. According to this one, again, explosive performances from Andre Russell and Ryan Parag were key features. Seems like a recurring theme between these two teams.
It really does. So in this reported 2026 match, KKR apparently set a total of 207.
Again, Russell with the late power hitting, but the report also mentions a solid start from Gurbaz and Rahane, building a platform.
Okay, and on the Rajasthan side, Mahesh Deekshana apparently led their bowling effort, trying to keep KKR in check, but, death over hitting.
Exactly. Russell doing what Russell does. So then Rajasthan's chase. Similar story. Early setbacks.
Apparently so. But then again, Ryan Parag launches this incredible counterattack, trying to win it almost single-handedly.
Like deja vu. What about the final over in this reported match?
Even more drama, if you can believe it. 22 runs needed off the last over. Shubman Dubey hits 2 sixes and a 4. Gets them incredibly close. But then, the bowler, Vaibhav Arora, holds his nerve, delivers a perfect Yorker on the last ball. KKR win by 1 run. Again.
Unbelievable. So, assuming this happened, whenever it happened, this win would obviously be huge for KKR's playoff hopes as well.
Absolutely. Another nail-biting win like that would definitely boost their chances and move them up the table. And for Rajasthan, well, another gut-wrenching loss, especially with Parag playing like that.
It just reinforces how unpredictable the IPL can be, doesn't it? Every single ball counts. Okay, let's shift gears completely now, moving away from cricket
Right.
to technology and infrastructure. Big news out of Chhattisgarh.
Yes, a really significant development. The Chief Minister, Vishnu Deo Sai, laid the foundation stone for India's first AI-based data center park in Nava Raipur.
India's first? That sounds like a major step.
It really is, and the scale is pretty impressive. We're talking 13.5 acres, including a dedicated special economic zone and SEZ just for AI services. That's about 2.7 hectares.
And the investment.
Estimated at around 1,000 crore. That's over the next 2 years. The goal is clearly to make Chhattisgarh a major digital hub.
For those listening, an SEZ usually means special incentives like tax breaks to encourage businesses in that specific sector. So focusing heavily on AI here.
Precisely. And the stated aim is quite broad, benefiting youth, farmers, tribal communities, creating opportunities across the board.
The chief minister called it a digital backbone for a new era of growth and empowerment. Strong words.
Very strong, positioning Chhattisgarh right at the heart of the Digital India initiative. And of course, the hope is it creates a lot of jobs.
And fosters real technological advancement in AI services, right? Providing the infrastructure for businesses, for startups.
Exactly. It's designed to support those cutting-edge applications. It's more than just building data centers. It's about creating an ecosystem.
It really signals a serious commitment from the state government towards, well, an AI-driven future for the region and for India.
A proactive move, definitely. Investing strategically in the tech of the future.
Okay, now let's turn to politics and international relations. A headline involving Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, or PTI, Imran Khan's party.
Yes, this is quite notable. PTI has apparently turned down an invitation from the Pakistani government.
An invitation for what?
For a briefing on the rising tensions with India. PTI cited political grievances and basically called for a broader consultation, not just a briefing.
Interesting. So their spokesperson, Sheikh Waqas Akram, put out a statement.
He did. He said, look, PTI condemns terrorism, supports national unity, but given the current political situation, they feel they can't participate in this specific briefing.
And they're pushing for something else instead.
Yes, they've reiterated their call for an all-parties conference, an APC, for collective decision-making on these, critical national security issues.
So this highlights a political divide within Pakistan, even on matters of national security.
It certainly seems that way. Analysts are suggesting the government's briefing was meant to get all major parties on the same page regarding the security situation, especially after
after the recent escalations. The main trigger being that terrible attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir on April 22nd.
Exactly. The one where 26 people lost their lives, many of them tourists. A horrific event.
So PTI's refusal to attend this briefing, it signals a definite political rift at a time when, arguably, national unity might be expected.
It does. It raises questions about political consensus in Pakistan on how to handle the relationship with India right now.
Okay, staying on the India-Pakistan theme, but shifting to economics, India seems to be tightening the screws on trade.
That's right. Reports suggest India is stepping up vigilance to stop Pakistan from using third countries to get goods into the Indian market.
Third countries? Like where?
Places like the UAE, Singapore, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. Apparently, even with the direct ban, goods worth around $500 million annually. Things like fruits, textiles, leather have been finding their way in indirectly.
Rerouted and maybe relabeled?
Potentially. So the Indian government issued a new order, this was on May 2nd, explicitly banning all imports from Pakistan, direct or indirect.
And the message behind this?
Pretty blunt. Terror and trade can't happen together, directly linking it back to that Pahalgam attack.
This isn't the first trade restriction, though, is it?
Not at all. Remember, after the Pulwama attack in 2019, India withdrew Pakistan's most favored nation status.
Which means higher tariffs.
Much higher. They slapped on a 200% customs duty. That caused Pakistan's exports to India to basically collapse a 90% drop.
What were the figures again?
Bilateral trade went from nearly $500 million in FY19 down to just $14 million in FY20, a massive fall.
The reports say Pakistan still imports some essential Indian items through informal routes.
Yes, that seems to be the case. But these latest restrictions are clearly aimed at shutting down those indirect formal channels. It's about tightening that economic pressure.
It fits India's stated position, doesn't it? That normal trade depends on Pakistan stopping cross-border terrorism.
Precisely. Whether these new measures can completely stop the indirect trade, well, that remains to be seen. It depends on monitoring and cooperation from those third countries, too, but the intent is clear.
Okay, let's shift now to a local story, and unfortunately, it's quite grim. A body discovered in Gurugram.
Yes, a very concerning report. A woman's body, sadly in a decomposed state, was found inside a suitcase
Where exactly?
near the Shiv Nidar school on the Gurugram Faridabad road. A passerby noticed the suitcase, saw flies, and alerted the police.
Have they identified her?
Not yet. She's estimated to be between 30 and 35 years old. Police noted some distinctive tattoos, though.
Oh, what are they?
The number 8 on her left thumb, and the word ma, meaning mother, on her left shoulder. Hopefully those details might help someone recognize her.
The initial assessment points towards murder, right?
Yeah.
And a calculated disposal.
That's the suspicion, yes. Brutal crime. Police are reviewing CCTV footage from the area and have offered a reward Rs 25,000 for information leading to identification.
And an FIR has been filed.
Yes, for murder and destruction of evidence. The investigation is very much ongoing. Understandably, incidents like this really raise safety concerns in the local community.
Absolutely. A deeply disturbing case. The priority now must be identification and finding leads.
Definitely. Meticulous police work is needed here.
Okay, let's move back to the political sphere. Rahul Gandhi, the Congress leader, faced some challenging questions recently.
Yes. This happened during an event at Brown University in the U.S. A Sikh student questioned him quite directly about the 1984 anti-Sikh riots, or massacre.
What was the focus of the questions?
Reconciliation efforts. The student brought up perceived impunity for some Congress leaders allegedly involved, like Sajjan Kumar, and challenged Gandhi on what the party has done to truly reconcile.
And this generated reactions back in India.
Oh, certainly. The BJP, Congress's main rival, quickly praised the student. Some BJP leaders claimed Gandhi was being ridiculed globally for his answers.
What else did the student raise?
The student also reportedly accused Gandhi of fear-mongering about Sikh identity under the current BJP government and mentioned the Anandpur Sahib Resolution, a key document in Sikh political history, basically pointing out Congress's own history while criticizing the present.
Highlighting perceived failures to address past injustices, specifically mentioning figures like Sajjan Kumar remaining in the party for a long time.
Exactly. It tapped into a deep well of historical grievance and pain for many in the Sikh community.
How did Rahul Gandhi respond?
He reportedly acknowledged that the Congress party had made mistakes, particularly before his time in leadership. He expressed willingness to take responsibility and mentioned he has condemned the 1980s events publicly before.
So, an admission of past mistakes,
Yeah.
but perhaps not enough for some critics.
Well, the BJP certainly didn't think so. They've used this to attack Congress's record. It shows how potent these historical issues remain in Indian politics today. There was also criticism from the BJP about Gandhi allegedly calling Lord Ram a mythological figure at the same event.
Right, another point of contention. Okay, let's loop back to the India-Pakistan tensions, focusing on military readiness this time.
Yes, the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh, briefed Prime Minister Modi.
On operational readiness.
Exactly. Following a similar briefing from the Navy chief, it suggests a high state of preparedness across the armed forces, possibly for potential punitive actions or just heightened defense.
Are there specific actions being reported?
Yes, the Air Force is said to be conducting long-range fighter sorties along the western border, maintaining high alert status.
Increased patrols as well.
Intensified combat air patrols, yes, and more operational readiness platforms. Basically, aircraft ready for immediate takeoff at air bases near the border.
And they're highlighting specific capabilities.
The readiness of the Rafale jets, equipped with long-range missiles, has been mentioned. Meanwhile, the Army also reported unprovoked firing from Pakistan along the line of control.
In several areas.
Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri. And they stated India gave a full response.
And the Prime Minister's stance.
He reportedly assured military leaders they have complete operational freedom to decide on responses. So the overall picture is one of high alert and readiness.
It sends a clear signal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About India's preparedness and resolve in the current situation.
Absolutely. A strong message about safeguarding national security. It's a situation being watched very closely both in India and internationally.
Okay, let's switch to a development in governance technology, something from the Election Commission of India.
Yes, this sounds quite interesting. They're launching something called Senate Election Commission Network.
What is it exactly?
It's basically a single app and website designed to bring together around 40 existing digital platforms used by voters and election officials.
40 into 1. That sounds like a huge streamlining effort.
It really does. The aim is to make everything much simpler and more accessible. It's apparently in advanced development, and they hope to roll it out before the Bihar elections later this year.
What kind of services will it integrate?
Things voters use, like the voter turnout app, the Know Your Candidate app, the results platform, but also tools for the electoral officers managing the whole process.
Whose idea was this?
The report credits the Chief Election Commissioner, Yanish Kumar, and the other commissioners.
So the main goal is efficiency, easier access to information.
Both. Streamlining the processes, making it easier for voters to find what they need, easier for officials to manage things, and hopefully boosting voter engagement overall.
It definitely reflects a push towards modernizing how elections are run, using technology to improve the experience.
A positive step, potentially. If it works well in Bihar, you could see it becoming the standard across India, making democracy more efficient and accessible.
Right. Now, a different kind of story. A legal and social one involving a Pakistani woman arrested in West Bengal.
Yes, this is quite a complex case. A 60-year-old Pakistani woman, Fatima Bibi, has been arrested after living in India for 45 years.
45 years. On what grounds?
On an expired visa. Apparently, she came from Rawalpindi in 1980 on a tourist visa, settled in Chandanagar, West Bengal, and married an Indian man in 1982.
But her visa expired, and she stayed.
That seems to be the case. What's unusual is that police records supposedly marked her as missing shortly after she arrived, and her immigration status was never updated.
So why the arrest now, after all this time?
It seems to be linked to that nationwide directive after the Pahalgam attack, the one instructing police to verify records of all Pakistani nationals in India. Her case likely came up during that verification process.
How have locals reacted?
Reportedly with shock. Many describe her as just a longtime member of the community. Her husband claims she has Indian documents like a voter ID, Aadhaar card, PAN card.
And that they'd applied for citizenship.
Yes, though that process seems incomplete. Police have registered a case and are reviewing her status under immigration law.
There are calls for leniency.
Some residents are apparently arguing for her release after due process, mentioning her age and health issues. It really highlights the human complexities that can arise with immigration laws and long-term residency.
A difficult situation, legally and personally. It raises many questions.
It certainly does. About policy, enforcement, and individual circumstances, the legal process will need to carefully weigh these factors.
Let's turn back to sports now. The Khelo India Youth Games.
Yes, a big event. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the 2025 Games being held in Bihar this year.
How many athletes are participating?
Around 6,000 young athletes from all over India, competing across 5 cities in Bihar. It's a major platform for youth sports.
And the PM addressed the participants.
He did, welcoming them in Bhojpuri, the local language, which was a nice touch. He also apparently praised a young cricketer, Vaibhav Suryavanshi,
For what?
for hitting a 35-ball century in the IPL. Now, that name didn't come up in our earlier IPL discussion.
No, it didn't. Another potential discrepancy, or maybe it refers to a different match.
Could be.
No.
Or maybe a future star highlighted. Regardless, Modi used the occasion to also talk about the double-engine government, same party at center and state, helping Bihar's development.
Did he encourage them to experience BR?
Yes, told the athletes to check out the local culture and food, mentioning litti choka and makhana specifically.
So, beyond the competition, it's about showcasing the host state, too.
Absolutely. The Khelo India Games are really important for identifying young talent, promoting sports, and fostering that sense of national unity through sport. Bihar hosting is significant.
Okay, now focusing on education and a very serious issue, student well-being. News from BITS Pilani's Goa campus.
Yes, this is important. Following the tragic loss of 3 students to suicide, the BITS Pilani KK Birla Goa campus is taking concrete steps.
What kind of steps?
They're revamping the curriculum to actually include courses on mental and physical wellness, stress management, integrating it into the academics.
That seems like a fundamental shift. Anything else?
Offering exam flexibility for students who are struggling, which could ease some pressure, and developing a student well-being dashboard for personalized support.
Are they strengthening the existing services too?
Yes, reaffirming commitment to counseling, 24/7 helplines, peer support, faculty advisors, and also encouraging use of sports and gym facilities.
The recent loss of Krishna Kasera must have deeply affected the campus.
Undoubtedly. The institution stated they're supporting the family and the investigation. The overall goal seems to be creating a much more compassionate, supportive environment where mental health is truly prioritized.
It reflects a broader, necessary conversation happening in education about student mental health, doesn't it?
It really does. Moving beyond just academics to holistic well-being, These steps by Bitsagoa are significant and hopefully impactful.
Right. Finally, let's touch on India's global relations and a major business dispute. First, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar's comments,
Yes, he made some notable remarks about India's approach. He emphasized India seeks partners, not preachers, especially regarding the EU.
implying criticism of some countries.
He criticized nations that, in his words, do not practice at home what they preach abroad, essentially calling for consistency and mutual respect.
And the basis for relationships should be.
Mutual understanding and shared interests. This comes as the EU, US, and Russia have all called for India and Pakistan to de-escalate tensions.
He also addressed India's relationship with Russia.
Yes, defended continued engagement with Russia as fundamental realism. He argued against excluding Russia from potential Ukraine peace talks, saying all relevant parties need to be involved.
Down with the U.S.
He advocated for America realism, meaning a relationship based on pragmatic mutual interests.
Despite these complex global dynamics, talks for an India-EU free trade deal are still ongoing.
Apparently so, yes. Negotiations continue, aiming for a conclusion by year-end. It shows India navigating a complex world, balancing relationships while stating its own priorities quite clearly.
An assertive, independent foreign policy stance.
That seems to be the message, yes. Prioritizing strategic autonomy.
And lastly, a big tax dispute involving Samsung.
Yes, a major challenge. Samsung is fighting a tax demand of $520 million in India.
What's the issue?
Alleged misclassification of imported networking gear, specifically something called remote radio heads, used in 4G networks. Tax authorities claim Samsung evaded tariffs of 10–20% on gear sold to Reliance Jio.
What's Samsung's argument?
They argue authorities knew about their import methods, even citing that Reliance Jio used similar methods. They also claim Reliance was warned back in 2017, but Samsung itself wasn't informed or questioned until this demand came through.
So they feel blindsided.
They're arguing the tax order was rushed, they didn't get a fair chance to present their case. They've appealed to the Customs, Excise, and Service Tax Appellate Tribunal. They even compared it to a similar dispute involving Volkswagen.
Is there more to the financial penalty?
Yes. There's reportedly an additional fine of $81 million on 7 Samsung employees, pushing the total potential liability over $600 million.
Wow. This highlights the scrutiny big companies face over tax and imports in India.
It certainly does. It raises questions about regulatory consistency, due process. The outcome could have wider implications for foreign investment and tax policy in India.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into today's headlines from India. A really diverse range of stories we've covered.
Absolutely. From IPL thrillers and tech leaps to complex diplomacy, legal battles, and local incidents, it shows just how much is happening.
We've tried to give you that clear, concise overview, digging a bit deeper into the context and significance of each story.
Hopefully providing some valuable insights along the way.
So, as a final thought for you to consider, we've seen India pushing ahead with things like the AI data center park, really ambitious tech goals. At the same time, we see these ongoing geopolitical tensions, like with Pakistan, and complex global relationships. How might these internal ambitions and external pressures interact and shape India's path forward?
That's a great question. The interplay between domestic development and the international environment is always crucial, something to keep watching. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yes, thank you for listening. We encourage you to explore these topics further if they've caught your interest.